this week, I heard an amazing story, one that I have never heard before, at a storytellers meeting. And I really wanted you to hear it. But the whole story is written in a Louisiana accent or Southern accent. And it's from the book, The Christmas Gift, written by and about African Americans, compiled by Shirley May Hale Rollins. It's a very interesting book, and the stories are not like any stories I've ever heard before. So I decided to go out on a limb and read the story to you. I know it's not the same as I usually do as storytelling, but I could not possibly learn the story and the accent and present it with any sort of veracity to the source. So I'm going to do my best in interpreting this accent as best as I can. And it's not my forte, but I will do my best just so that you can hear the story about how come Christmas. You see, one time it was a little baby born named the poor little Jesus. But didn't nobody know that was his name yet. They knew he was a powerful smart and a powerful purty little baby. But they didn't know his name was poor little Jesus. So 'cause he was so smart and so purty, everybody thought he was gonna grow up to be the king. So quick as that news got spread around, everybody just about bust to get on the good side of the baby. 'Cause they figure eff'n then they start soon enough he'd grow up liking them and not chop their heads off. So old Moses went over and gave him $100 in gold. And old Methuselah went over and gave him a diamond ring. And old Peter gave him a fine white silk robe. And everybody was running in with fine presents so the poor little Jesus wouldn't grow up and chop the heads off. Everybody but old Sandy Claus. Old Sandy Claus was kind and old and didn't get round much, and he didn't hear the news that the poor little Jesus was gonna grow up and be the king. So him and the old lady was sitting back by the fire one night, toasting their shins and talking about this and that, when Miss Sandy Claus up and remark. She say, "Sandy, I hears Miss Mary got a brand new baby over at her house." "Is that a fact?" says Sandy Claus. "Well, well, it's a mighty cold night to do anything like that, ain't it? But on the other hand, he'll be a heap of pleasure and fun for the next summer, I reckon." So the talk went on, and finally old Sandy Claus remarked that it was powerful lonesome around the house since all the chilluns growed up and married off. "They all married well," says Miss Sandy Claus, "and so I say good riddance. You ain't never had to get up and cure their colic and mend their clothes, so you're getting lonesome. Me, I love 'em all, but I'm glad they married and doing well." So the talk ran on like that for a while, and then old Sandy Claus got up and got his hat. "I believe," he say, "I'll drop over and see how the baby's getting along. I ain't seen no chillun in so long I'm pure hungry to lean my eyes upon a baby." "You ain't got going out on a night like this, is you?" says Miss Sandy Claus. "Sure I'm going out on a night like this," says Sandy Claus. "I'm pure craving to see some chilluns." But it's snowing and going on, says Miss Sandy Claus. You know, your fistic been telling you anyhow, and you'll get the Charlie Mouse buses slopping around in this weather. No mind to talk, says Sandy Claus. Give me my umbrella and my overshoes, and you better get me a little something to take along for a cradle gift, I reckon. You know hit nothing in the house for no cradle gift, says Miss Sandy Claus. Get something, says Sandy Claus. You gotta give a new baby something, or else you got bad luck. Give me one of them big red apples out of the kitchen. What kind of a cradle gift is an apple? Says Miss Sandy Claus. Don't you reckon that baby get all the apples he want? Give me the apple, says Sandy Claus. It ain't much, one way you looks at it. But from the way that baby gonna look at the apple, he'll be a heap. So Sandy Claus got the apple, and he lit out. Well, when he got to Miss Mary's house, everybody was standing around giving the poor little Jesus presents. Fine presents, made out of gold and silver and diamonds and silk and all like that. They had their presents stacked around that baby so high you couldn't hardly see him. So when everybody seed old Sandy Claus come in, they looked to see what he brang. And when they seed that he didn't bring nothing but a red apple, they all laughed. Quick as that boy grows up and gets to be king, he gonna chop your head off. No mind that, says Sandy Claus. You'll just stand back. And so he went up to the crib, and he pushed away a handful of gold and silver, and he pushed away a handful of diamonds and stuff, and handed the poor little Jesus that red apple. Here, son, says he, take this old apple. See how it shines? And the poor little Jesus reached up and grabbed that apple in both hands and laughed as brash as you please. Then Sandy Claus tuck and tickled him under the chin with his forefinger and say, goodly, goodly, goodly. And the poor little Jesus laughed some more, and he reached up and grabbed a fistful of old Sandy Claus whiskers. And him and old Sandy Claus went round and round. So about that time up stepped the Lord. I swear, old Sandy Claus, says the Lord, betwixt that apple and them whiskers, the poor little Jesus ain't had so much fun since he been born. So Sandy Claus stepped back and bowed low and gave the Lord howdy, and say, I didn't know everybody was chivying, or else I'd stayed at home. I didn't have nothing much to bring this time, 'cause you see how it's been this year, the dry weather and the bull weevils got mighty nigh all the cotton, and the old lady been kind of puny. That's all right, Sandy, say the Lord. Gold and silver I have a heap of, but verily, you sure know how to handle yourself around the chillins. Well, Lord, say Sandy Claus, I don't know much about chillins. Me and the old lady raised up 14, but she done most of the work. Me, I just likes them, and I manages to get along with them. You should get along with them good, say the Lord. It's easy to do what he likes to do, say Sandy Claus. Well, say the Lord, it might be something in that too. But the trouble with my world is it ain't enough people which likes to do the right thing. But you likes to do it chillins, and that's what I needs. So stand still and shut your eyes whilst I passes a miracle upon you. So Sandy Claus stood still and shut his eyes, and the Lord reared back and passed a miracle on him and say, Old Sandy Claus, live forever and make my chillins happy. So Santa Claus opened his eye and said, "Thank you kindly, Lord, but do I gotta keep him happy all the time? That's a pretty big job. It'd be a hip or fun, but still, and at the same time." "Yeah, I know about chillins too," said the Lord. "Chillins got to fret and get in devilment and every now and then and get a whooping from the ma, or else they skin one get loose and they don't grow up. But you just keep your eyes on them and make 'em happy about once a year. How's that?" "That's fine," said Santa Claus. "He'll be a heap of fun, too. What time of the year do you spec I better make 'em happy, Lord?" "Christmas suit me," said the Lord, "if it's okay with you." "It's just about fine for me," said old Santa Claus. So ever since that day and time, old Santa Claus been clawing the chillums on Christmas, and that's on the same day that the poor little Jesus got born, 'cause that's the way the Lord runs things. Of course, the Lord knowed it wasn't going to be long before poor little Jesus growed up and got to be a man. And when he done that, all the grown folks had him so they could moan their sins away and lay their burdens down on him, and got happy in their hearts. The Lord made Jesus for the grown folks, but the Lord knew the children's got to have some fun too. So that's how come it's Santa Claus and Christmas and all. You know what I think the most interesting part of this fable is? And yes, I love the fact that all the different personages from the Bible are all mixed into this one moment in time, and my mind went this way and that when I was reading it, or when I was listening to it the first time, because I thought, wow, how can there be Moses and Jesus in the same city at the same time, and Methuselah and old Peter? Wait a minute. But the most fascinating part is when the Lord is speaking to Santa Claus, and he says that everyone should do whatever makes them happy, what they're good at. Everyone should focus their attention, their energy, their power into something that they're good at, something that keeps them alive, that makes them feel truly and deeply alive. And that's my Christmas wish for everyone. Those watching this and those not watching it also. For everyone in the whole world to do whatever they absolutely love to do and to be happy in whatever they're doing. And sometimes the choice to become happy in whatever you're doing today is the first step to doing what you actually want to be doing. So get happy and do what you love to do, whether for a living or just for fun.